Am I the asshole for posing for my friend's photography class without letting my girlfriend know? My friend is a visual art major and took a photography elective last semester. Near the end of the semester, she was doing a study of the human form and needed to build a portfolio and wanted some models. I'm pretty proud and confident in my body, so I agreed to do so. This is not something I let my girlfriend know, as it's pretty innocent and pointless to me. As far as I knew, the pictures would only go to the professor. The pictures were supposed to be in nature, so we went to the hiking trail near our school. My friend took the photos, and I saw all of the photos. None of them were what I would call provocative. Most excluded showing anything explicit, and the ones that were explicit, my friend said she wouldn't submit if I was uncomfortable. However, I told her I didn't care, and she could do whatever she wanted with them. Now, mind you, this was last semester, so I pretty much forgot about them. That was until I go to the library and see some of the less revealing photos in the rotating art exhibit. My face wasn't in the pictures, but I have a pretty unique tattoo on my upper thigh, mid-pelvis, that was visible. I thought nothing of it, but yesterday, my girlfriend's friend saw the art exhibit and told her that she thought it was me. My girlfriend confronted me, and I told her it was. She was livid. She said I shouldn't be showing off my body like that when I have a girlfriend, and that it was fucked up to keep a secret from her. I told her I didn't think it was a secret, as I thought it was just nothing. I was being a good friend and didn't even know about the art exhibit. She said that if another woman is photographing me naked, of course I should have told her. I told her that I was posing for art and that she's reducing the artistic process to something that it isn't. She's a mathematics major and is STEM-brained, so she frequently doesn't get these things. She said that I needed to go get the photos taken down. I said it wasn't up to me, as I gave full control to my friend, and it's not like it's recognizable to anyone except people who know about the tattoo. She's still pissed though.
My little brother is nonverbal and he's autistic, and I took him to a Tekken tournament, and he ended up in first place. This really caught me off guard. So my mom had been egging me on. She said, "I'll take him to one of the little anime conventions you go to." And I said, "Atticus, you want to go?" He gave me an affirmative duh. He said, "Duh." I said, "All right." Well, I took him to a little anime convention. Before that, we had been playing the game together. We had been playing Minecraft. He's goated at Minecraft. Minecraft, I feel like, is just tuned for people, on the spectrum, myself included. So after that, I was like, "Hey, Atticus, you want to play some Tekken?" He gave me an affirmative duh. He said, "Duh." I'm like, "I got you, bro." So we're playing some Tekken, and I showed him one combo. One combo. After that one combo, he looked at it, broke it apart, put it in his head, broke it down, tore it apart, put it together, and then he did the combo but better. Because he understood the timing of the characters in the air. He understood the combo. I was like, "Oh, okay." And he started beating me. I was like, "Man, he's good. He knows everything about combos." I was getting annihilated. I felt like an anime protagonist going against a villain. He was just looked at me, and he gave me a angry duh. He's like, "Duh." I was like, "Ooh, okay, he's getting aggressive." So I take him to the thing. I put his headphones on. I take him over there because he was going overstimulated. So I enter him in a tournament, and they say, "What's his name?" And I said, "His name is Da." And they was like, "Okay, Da, you ready, Da?" He said, "Da." I was like, "Okay." He getting aggressive on him. So he's excited. He's getting ready. First round of the tournament, I'm a little bit scared. I pick his character for him because he picked his favorite character, Kuma. He loves Kuma. So he plays the first match of the tournament. He 2-0s the first person. I'm like, "Oh, this is great." He looks at me. He's like, "Hi." I'm like, "Hi, bro, what's going on?" Next round, he goes in, wins. Next round, he wins. Next round, he wins. He's 2-0 everybody. Until he gets to the last person. The last person has been known to win the last 3 Tekken tournaments. I'm a little bit perplexed. I'm like, "Oh, this is about to get serious, about to get scary." Adkins looks at me. He gives me a concerning duh. I'm like, "Oh." He said duh. Now, he's nonverbal. That was a verb. The verb duh means I'm about to win. I could tell it. I could feel it in his soul. So, the match is load up. And he doesn't know that instead of best 2 out of 3 is best 3 out of 5, like it's the extra round. So he plays, he gets up, and everybody think it's just disrespectful. Like, "Oh my God, he's walking away. He knows he's too good." I'm like, "Atticus, is another round." He's like, "Oh." And he sits back, he sit back down. Everybody's going crazy. And the dude, he's pissed. He's like, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, it's pretty serious." Atticus, perfect him the first round. Second round, dude got a few hits in. Atticus annihilated him. Last round, washed. It's disrespectful. But top person never went in the loser's bracket, so Atticus got to fight him again. He got to fight about a loser's bracket. So Atticus waits, beats him again. He wins. He looks at the tournament announcer, says, So anything you want to say, he looks down, turning my her dead in the eyes and says, duh. Atticus looks at me, he's like, duh. I know exactly what that means. That means he won. That's my boy right there. That's my boy. High five him. We go back home, put the headphones back on him because he had other headphones for the fighting game, and we enjoy the anime convention. Everybody's congratulating Atticus. I want to point out Atticus is not that old. He's like 10. It's disrespectful how deeply he did annihilated him. It was beautiful. Oh my God, I miss him.
The story I swear I would never tell or talk about again, but my mom really wants me to tell it, so here we go. When I was in 5th grade, a new girl came to our school, and I didn't know her at all, but my mom and dad knew her mom and dad. They wanted me to like hang out with her. Well, she was in 6th grade. She was a year older than me, and she had 2 younger sisters, and she was there like 2 weeks or something like that, and they set up like a slumber party sleepover thing or whatever. I get over to her house, but first let me add, okay, her house was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a log cabin that her dad had built, and it was like this 2-story lofty type cabin thing, and her parents were upstairs, but her dad had made like in the girls' room like built-in bunk beds in the wall, so they were like 3 high, right? And the little sister was going to sleep in the floor, and I was going to sleep in the middle, right? So you had to like climb the ladder on the outside of the beds and then like climb into the bed, which I thought was cool. I was fine with it. But immediately when I got to the house that day, it was like heavy, and it kind of felt like something was like the air was thick or something. So she kept acting weird the whole time that I was there, and she would like look to the left and right and back and forth, and I'm like, what are you looking at? And she's like, oh, nothing. And then the little sister goes, she sees this woman. Ghosts weren't like new to me, but I knew this didn't feel like a ghost. It felt like something else. Right? I would see like this dark shadow like show up and then like go away, and then around the corner I saw like these fingers come around the edge and then go like this, like around the door frame, but they weren't like regular fingers. They were like these really elongated black, like, and the nails weren't pointy. They were longer, but they looked like they had been like digging in something. They were like a brown dirt. This was like scary, whatever it was, right? So I'm already like planning my escape. Like I'm already like, okay, I'm going to wait till bedtime, and I'm going to call my mom, and I'm going to say I'm sick or something, so she has to come and get me. We were out there, like I said, in the middle of nowhere. And then her dad was like, oh man, the phones are messed up again. And he comes in for like dinner, and I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean the phones are messed up? So this was like 91, 92, I guess, something like that. And he's like, yeah, they get down sometimes. And I'm like, well, what if I need to go home? And he said, well, I'll take you home. It's fine. It's fine if you need to go home. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck out here, right? Like I'm not going to be like, hey, I need you to take me home, because my dad would have like ripped me a new one. Like, y'all know that he was mean, and he would have been so mad if I would have made this guy bring me home for nothing, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to stay here. Well, that night we go to get into bed, and she has jeans on. And I'm like, why are you sleeping in jeans? And she said, because I can't feel her scratch my legs in jeans. I'm like, feel who? What do you mean? Who? That little sister goes, the woman, the girl that she sees scratches her legs at night. And I'm like, oh my God, like, oh my God, what do you mean? Well, is she going to try to scratch my legs? And she said, no, because you're in the middle bunk, she only gets mine. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. Well, we play games, we do whatever, and the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to see this woman. I've already like seen her hands. Like, what am I going to do? And climb up, we go to get in bed. I'm not tired at all, like not at all. And all I can think about is this woman, right? Like, why is my friend in jeans to keep from feeling her hands? Like, what is going to happen? And under the bottom bed, there was like a nook thing, for like storage or whatever. So something could get under that. And I'm like, oh, so I climb up this ladder thing. I'm getting like sweaty just talking. I'm getting like red just talking about it. That was horrible. I climb up the ladder. I get in the middle bunk. So I'm trapped. It felt like I was in a coffin or something, because the bed was above me and there was a bed below me. So I'm in this box in the wall, and I'm like, I can't. I was having like a panic attack. I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep in here. They had it total darkness, no noise, no anything but fear, right? The only thing I could hear was like my heart slamming in my chest, and like my ears were like, boom, boom, I'm like, oh my God. Then I hear like the bottom bunk, like creak, what's happening down there. And instead of just like not looking, like curiosity, got the best of me. So I lean over, y'all, and this thing is like leaned over her. It's not in the bed with her, but it's like if it was kneeling beside her, and it's just going like dragging down her jeans. It sounded like that, like dragging down jeans. So I'm looking down at this thing, hearing this, and then I look at my friend, and my friend's just like that. She goes, "Shh." So I freeze, right? So this goes on for a long time. It was me still peeking over the side, like looking, and you hear like, and then she just stops and then like retreats and sucks back under that bottom bunk. Turns out they had a Ouija board in that nook underneath the bed, that she had made a homemade Ouija board underneath the bed. Horrible, horrible. I have never been so scared in my life. Let's just say I made it through the night. First thing in the morning, I was like, I'm ready to go. Because my mom wasn't supposed to come get me till like noon. This was like 9 o'clock. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I don't feel too good. Can you just take me home? I didn't care at that point what my dad said or did. I wanted to get the hell out of that log cabin in the woods. So he takes me home. I tell my mom, and she's like, well, you don't have to go back again. I'm like, no, I'm never going back. I don't know what happened to that girl afterwards. I ghosted her immediately. I didn't want anything to do with her. I was scared to death she was going to invite me back over. Or worse, she would want to come to my house and then bring it with her. Did not want that to happen. My mom did tell her mom. My mom told her that I saw something and that the girls had been seeing things. And she said, yeah, the girls had mentioned stuff before, but kids just have an active imagination. She blew it off. She did not care. So my mom didn't push the issue. As for the Ouija board, I don't know if she got rid of it or not. I told her to. I told her that it was like bad news, that she's not supposed to be messing with those, that they will summon things like what it was that came out. I was like, that you did that. Like, you're the reason why that thing's there. And she's like, oh, no, it's just a game, no big deal or whatever. And I was like, that thing is dead ass coming after you because of your homemade beer box Ouija board. That's what she used, like the bottom of like a beer box, which I'd seen a million times because of my dad, that you put the 2 big cases in. She'd drawn it out on that, and then she took like a Frosted Flakes mini box, you know what I'm talking about, and made one of those planchette things or whatever they're called out of that. So that's what she used, which was smart, but dumb at the same time. So she made the board, not the demon thing. The demon just came out of it, I guess. Scariest part, everyone wants to know what that thing looked like. Okay, so it was dark in there, but she had a window in her room, and it was a full moon, something like that. I don't know, it was bright outside, so we could see enough in it. So when I look over, that thing is like leaned over, like, and its hair was going like this. It had like really long black hair, and it looked like it was underwater. You know, it was flowing like when you go underwater with your friends and play like mermaid or whatever. It looked like that, right? So then she did this for God knows how long. Then when she sucked back down, she had a mouth that went all the way out to here, right? Like here, and she's like grinning, but her teeth weren't pointy. They were like dull, but staggered, like stacked on top of each other and just like gnarly. And I could see that in like her eyes, and she was still looking at her like when she sucked back under the bed. So I just saw that for a split second and got the hell out of Dodge because I did not want her to look at me. What's creepy is that there are so many people in the comments that say that they have seen the same thing. Yeah, no. Do I mess with Ouija boards? Hell no. I won't get anywhere near them. My brother had one not too long ago. He kept a Bible on top of it with crystals on top of that. He had all this crazy stuff go down at his house. He had to call our preacher to come over to like try to get rid of it. The preacher told him to get rid of the Ouija board. We'd heard that you're not supposed to burn them, so he was going to go bury it in the woods somewhere. He called me to see if I had a shovel. I'm like, sure, come get it, but that's your shovel now. Don't bring that shovel back over here. Don't come up my driveway with that board. I dead ass meant it. He took my shovel. Haven't seen the shovel since, and I didn't want to know where he put it. Everyone wants to know what happened to the little girl that was in the floor. The little girl that was in the floor didn't bother her because it just messed with that bottom bunk. It was like it was trapped to that bunk or something. I don't know. Even though she had seen it, like other parts of the house, I'd seen it around the corner. I don't know if it was just attached to her or what. The little girls could not see her. They could only hear her. My friend did tell me the next day, like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think you would be able to see her because no one else can. I'm like, bitch, yeah, I can. I had said that I didn't think that the parents knew. I didn't know that until today when I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, yeah, I did tell her, and she didn't care. Also, a lot of you are saying that you would have just ran home. I would have too, but it was so far away. Plus, I was more scared of my dad than I was that thing that was going to come out from under the bed. So, yeah, that should tell you something. I was very nervous because that was the first time that I had told that story or even spoken it out loud since it happened. I don't like talking about it. Another thing, if you like scary stories and stuff like that, that's what my channel is all about. I don't talk about demons, witches that much. Well, I do talk about witches, but not demons, because no. Also, she was like solid black, but looked wet, but not wet. She looked more like, some people said like a latex, but I said it looked like if you took acrylic paint and painted it on her, because she had like a sheen to her, but it was also dull, kind of. Like, I don't know, it was just, ugh. Everyone also wants to know why the parents didn't say anything about her sleeping in her jeans, but they were all very unique. They were a unique family. That's the best way that I can think of to say that.
I'm not having kids, and my mom has been actively trying to unalive herself since I told her. My mom gave up everything to raise me, and I'm not going to say I'm ungrateful. She was 15 when I was born, and her parents tried to force her to abort and went so far as bringing her to a clinic, but she fought the orderlies and actually ended up in a juvenile detention for a chunk of her pregnancy, after which she was disowned by her family. Then, when the birth went badly, she ended up needing a hysterectomy, so I was her only kid, and basically ruined her dream of having a big family and living the life she'd always been told she'd have. She worked hard to give me the things that she had growing up. I got the bedroom in our apartment and she had the couch. She got a job working at a daycare, and with some government assistance and a lot of struggle, she was able to give me the kind of life that she said I was owed by blood. My bedtime stories were always about my family history and some great things my ancestors did. She says we could trace our family history to the Mayflower, and that made us the original American blood. Her stories would always end with a fantasy about how, when I had kids, everything would be okay again and we would get to have a real family and live happily ever after. I do not want kids. I don't like kids. I don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to go through all that shit my mom went through. I never saw her get anything for herself in my whole childhood, unless it was free, like a library book or something. And when I asked about it, she said, "That's what a mother does, and I don't want to be that." She runs her own daycare now, and she's always surrounded by kids. Anyway, so when I told her my husband and I weren't planning on having any kids when we visited for Easter, I kind of figured she would be an adult about it. I mean, we're all adults now. She's in her 40s. This isn't the teenager who told me fantasies, and I'm a person. I'm allowed to make my own decisions. She laughed at first, and then suddenly she was just staring at me with this hatred. I'll never forget the look on her face. It was never something I'd seen from her before, and she just asked, "What was it all for then?" and got up and walked out. We got a call an hour later that she jumped off a bridge and was in the hospital. As soon as she woke up, she started raging and screaming at everyone to let her die, and she was placed under psychiatric hold where she's been the past month. Every time I visit her, she begs me to let her die, and so I stopped going. I just can't see her like that. She hates me now, and she hates everything, and even though this woman never so much as raised her voice to me, they're saying she's been violent with everyone she comes in contact with, and all she does is ask to die. It's all she says. She tries to hurt herself with everything she gets and actually succeeded in damaging an eye badly. I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about it. I thought she was happy. I thought she would be glad that I was happy. I have no idea how to cope with this, but I'm not going to have a baby just for her. It wouldn't be fair to me, and it wouldn't be fair to the baby. I just don't know how to stop feeling like I'm the one who did this to her. She did everything for me. She spent every moment from the time she was 15 years old trying to make my life good. She managed to pay for a private high school and have a college fund working in daycare. And I know how insane that is and the toll it took on her. She's had a heart attack before, and I love her. I really do. But I don't know how to stop hating myself for something that I don't even think I did wrong.
Am I the astronaut for refusing to consider stopping our divorce after my ex admitted her psychic friend lied about me having an affair? I met my wife, Rona, when we were in college together. I made the obviously terrible assumption that the fact she was in post-secondary education meant she had a modicum of common sense. We started dating our senior year, and after job hunting, settled on moving back to her hometown after graduating. We found an apartment and lived together for 2 years before getting married. All good so far. At our wedding, I met an old friend of hers, Anna. She offered to read my palm since she was part gypsy. Weird, whatever. Anna only comes to town every once in a while. She lives in NYC, so she doesn't have time to visit since she has an exciting life there. She makes costumes for plays and cosplayers, so we see her maybe 4 times over the next 2 years. Last time she came was Labor Day last year, and that's when it got weird. All of a sudden, Rona starts acting oddly. She starts checking in on me at work, coming by when I'm working late, asking to use my phone because hers is almost out of power, that sort of thing. She finally comes out and accuses me of having an affair. I thought she was joking, so I laugh and say that I'm not. This sets her off like a Roman candle, because Anna told her I would laugh it off when Rona came for the truth. Well, she got that one right. I laughed because it was ridiculous. I barely had time for a relationship with my wife and my job. I am home all weekend long. When I go golfing, her brother is almost always either in my foursome or at the club. Most important of all, I love my wife. I wouldn't do anything to harm her, and yet she takes the word of Anna the psychic seamstress over mine. She asks me to leave our apartment. I say no because I have nowhere else to go. So she leaves and moves back with her parents. They think she's nuts too. I spent the next few months working and trying to convince her that I'm not cheating and that I want her to come home. I don't get invited to Thanksgiving because it would be awkward. I didn't even stick around for Christmas. I went home to see my family. They have all been following this stupidity without commenting until then. At Christmas, they had an intervention. They said my wife was having a break from reality and that she wasn't coming out of it. My dad told me to give my head a shake, which he only does when I am being monumentally stupid. When I got back, I went to a lawyer and started my divorce. That was in January. Finally, at the beginning of April, Rona calls me to talk. I say that we should talk through lawyers. She starts to cry, and I agree to meet her in public if she will allow me to record our conversation so I can give a copy to my lawyer. She eventually agreed. Turns out, she and her parents hired a private detective to find my affair. 6 months and a huge bill later, zero evidence of an affair. She finally believes me and wants to come home. I tell her that our lease is up in July and I already found a job in Denver near my family. She says she would come with me. I respectfully declined. I told her we just aren't right for each other. The truth is, I do not want to have my offspring share DNA with this dingbat. Anyway, I am moving ahead with my divorce. I am gutted that she took her friend's psychic vibrator. Her family has approached me several times. The last time her dad offered to front us a 25% down payment on a house if I agree to go to marriage counseling instead of just leaving. I politely declined. I cannot be bought. Rona is now depressed, but I see no way of ever trusting her again. She is young enough she can marry again and wreck some other guy's life. Am I the astronaut? Edit. I meant to write psychic vibrations, not psychic vibrator, but I like the idea better the way I accidentally wrote it, so it stands.
I think I may have got with my boyfriend's dad. Story time. So, for a bit of background, I found out 3 years ago that my boyfriend was cheating on me. I received an email whilst I was at work with the subject line of, "I thought you should know." That evening, I confronted him with the video and I asked what the hell was going on. Out came the cheater's anthem. Not what it seems, I love you, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Shouldn't have done it in the first place, but what proceeded after that was hands down the hardest few years of my life. I distanced myself from literally everyone I knew. I moved from London to Manchester. I got rid of every single bit of social media that I had. So after about a year of this, I decided that it was time to get my life back together. So I went to the gym, I did a lot of therapy. I was really enjoying life. The gym really helped me get my head right. At the start, I was really embarrassed to go. I was really awkward, but I ended up meeting this guy there. We'll call this guy Steve. Steve was maybe like late 40s, early 50s. And Steve was fit. He was tall, dark and handsome. He had this really cool sleeve with like a skull tattooed on his hand. It started one day with him just giving little bits of tips and advice, and then it slowly progressed to him getting a little bit flirty, a bit handsy. But I made it very clear that I literally wasn't looking for anything after what had happened. So after a year of having my life back on track and seeing this Steve guy, I decided that I was ready for more. I wanted a little career change, so I was going to go back to uni. But the course I wanted to do is in Nottingham, so I had to move away. Meaning I'd have to move away from Steve. But it was chill because we were really casual. He just wished me luck and we parted ways. I did really miss Steve when I moved away. We'd been seeing each other like 3 or 4 times a week for about a year. Really nice to me and kind of restored my faith in men. Classes were going really well, and just after freshers I met this really nice guy. His name was Dave, and me and Dave got paired up to do a project together, and through this we started to get really close. So one day I ended up getting really ill and I missed my morning class, but Dave was apparently really worried about me and he came to check on me. This foundation does not match, but who cares. And after this we realised that we actually had so much in common. We'd had a very similar situation with our family, being that we don't really have much to do with them anymore, we're just not very close. The more time that went on, we realised that we actually didn't know anything about the families of each other. However, he did tell me that his parents had him when they were super young, they were still married. So let's bring it back to current times. Last week, Dave tells me that he was chatting to his parents and he mentioned that he was seeing someone. They were super interested because he hadn't had a relationship in a really long time. They asked if they could meet me. I was really nervous. I hadn't met parents in a very long time. I was asking more and more questions about them. And I asked if he had a photo of his parents. His mom is beautiful. She has this like incredible blonde hair, like a bouncy blow dry. And his dad was tall, dark and handsome, super muscly with a big sleeve and a skull tattooed on his hand. I was like, oh my god, your mum's so pretty. Your dad looks nice. What are their names? And he goes, oh, my mum's name is Amy and my dad's name is Steve. My question to you is, what do I do? I obviously know what it feels like to be cheated on, so I don't want to break his mum's heart. Do I just not say anything and hope that his dad doesn't say anything either? Or do I just tell Dave what happened? Just really don't want to lose everything that I have with Dave. So please help me, what on earth do I do?
Am I wrong for not letting my fiance's niece try on my engagement ring? I, 36 female, recently got engaged to my fiance, 34 male. He's in the military and has an extended family. He's close to his sister and 21-year-old niece. His brother-in-law is deceased. When I met his niece, she seemed sweet, but kept making passive-aggressive comments about me, like how I look older than my fiance, how we're incompatible just due to our star signs or whatever. And when we announced my engagement, she told my fiance he's moving too fast. We've been dating for almost 3 years. Yesterday, I visited my future in-laws and his sister and niece were there. His niece saw my ring and commented on it saying, I bet this is the fanciest one you've ever got, just like my uncle. I felt offended and thought that was rude, but I ignored her because of how my mother-in-law was looking at me. But then his niece asked if she could try the ring on. I was taken aback. I said no. She asked again and I still said no. Next thing I knew, she got up from her seat and stood in front of me, extending her arm, expecting me to take the ring off and give it to her. I was like, what the f***? I said, please go back to your seat. I already said no. My sister-in-law said it was fine, but I said I just didn't feel comfortable. Sister-in-law then looked at me quizzically and said, are you serious? That's his niece. Just let her try it on. I said I'm sorry, but no. Niece threw a fit and went upstairs. Her mother said I had no reason to act like this and said she didn't get what my problem is. I took my purse about to leave after she kept berating me for not letting her daughter try the ring. Mother-in-law asked me to stay, but I insisted on leaving. My sister-in-law tried calling me, and because I needed time to answer, she sent a text saying my behavior was alarming and that she will bring this incident up to her brother when he gets back because she sensed that I'm trying to drive a wedge between her daughter and my fiance for whatever reason. I haven't talked after that, and I really don't know what to think of this. I don't know if I acted poorly, but I'll leave this to you. Maybe I am missing something. So, am I the asshole?
There is not enough money in this fucking world that I would accept to date a Pisces man. I mean that with my fucking soul. They are the weirdest motherfuckers I have ever met. You could fully not believe in zodiac signs, and I'll tell you right now, go and speak to a male Pisces. And you know what? It's not even just a male Pisces. It's a male Pisces that doesn't understand how to cope with their emotions. Go talk to one of those motherfuckers for a month, and you're gonna be like, oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a million things I'd rather fucking do than speak to a male Pisces. Male Pisces that was in my life, weirdest motherfucker. The reason why is like, he constantly thought the entire world was against him. I kid you not, every single fucking day he would be like, nah, like everyone's just preying on my downfall. Like everyone just wants to like see my fucking downfall. And I'm like, who is everybody? Like, who are we talking about? I'm looking around and I don't think a fucking soul is like preying on your downfall. I'm like just so confused. It was always him against the literal world, like against the world. He's like, nobody gets me. Like, I'm just so misunderstood. I was like, I don't even think you get you. I don't even think you're in touch with your emotions enough to understand yourself. I think that's the biggest fucking problem. Listen, I get they're a water sign. I'm a Cancer, okay? I understand a water sign better than fucking anybody. The issue is, if like you're a Pisces male and you don't know how to control your emotions, you're gonna be a weird motherfucker. And that's just that. Like, you can't pay me money to date a Pisces man that doesn't understand how to cope with their emotions. Absolutely fucking not. I'd actually rather get a train ran on my asshole than like date a fucking no. Worse, like I would try and contact him. He'd be like, I'm off the grid. Like nobody can know where I am. What does that mean? You're off the grid? Like I'm just trying to have a conversation, or just even normal conversations where I'm like, what are you up to today? Like, what do you have going on? Why are you worried about what I'm doing with my day? Like, don't worry about that. Like, no one needs to know what I'm doing with my day. Okay, so it was just a question. This is a normal conversation between two fucking people who are talking. Worse is when it's like they're posting the fucking quotes or song lyrics to their Instagram story, like, nobody even gets me, I'm so fucking misunderstood. I'm like, okay, what? Deadass would not wish a Pisces male on my worst fucking enemy. The entire time I spent talking to a Pisces male, all I did was look at the phone and be like, what the fuck is it? Does he even know what he's talking about? Because like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, why am I getting text messages that he's like so fucking misunderstood? Like, what are you talking about? Stay away from those Pisces men. You know what? Just stay away from the Pisces men that like don't know how to fucking control their emotions. I'm sure the normal ones are great. The ones that don't understand what the fucking emotion is, stay far away. You know what? Don't get me started on the fucking Geminis, because I experienced my first Gemini this past month. They're just as weird.